Welcome to this episode of our program Arab Affairs. As usual, we will be discussing an important Arab file. Today we'll be speaking about the Egyptian-Iraqi relations that has been seeing a quantum leap, particularly during the past few years. Egypt has been keen to strengthen the depth of relations and cooperation in different fields, particularly the trilateral projects between Egypt, Iraq and Jordan. That will be speaking in light of President Sisi's receiving to the head of Iraq's Hikma National Movement, Mohammed al-Hakim, part of several meetings the President has held with Iraqi high-ranking officials, including last month with the Iraqi Prime Minister. We'll be speaking about that in our episode. Before we delve into our discussion, let's first have a quick look on the Arab news that took place during this week, and we'll come back for more discussion.
Discussing the current crisis in Sudan, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi addressed the African Peace and Security Council summit via video conference. In his speech, the head of state lauded the continuous partnership among the African sides, international partners, and relief institutions to work together towards a stable and safe Sudan. President Sisi said that Egyptian vision regarding the current Sudanese crisis included reaching a comprehensive, sustainable ceasefire to preserve the national Sudanese state institutions, to help the Sudanese people achieve consensus without foreign interventions, and to deal with the humanitarian repercussions of the crisis, which extend beyond the Sudanese borders. President Sisi stressed that Egypt's efforts were integrated with all the regional partners, including the AU and the Arab League. Egypt continued its effort to evacuate the stranded Egyptians in Sudan. This as the number of Sudanese and other nationalities flocking to the border crossings between Egypt and Sudan amid great facilities from all state institutions increased. The United States announced sanctions on Sudanese leaders it blames for the breakdown of U.S. and Saudi brokered ceasefire efforts after shelling and airstrikes killed 18 civilians at a Khartoum market. For nearly 7 weeks, Khartoum and other parts of Sudan have been gripped by deadly fighting between the army and the paramilitary rapid support forces, both of which Washington held responsible for violating the ceasefire and provoking appalling bloodshed. Fighting continued Thursday, with witnesses reporting heavy artillery fire in northern Khartoum, days after the two sides had agreed to extend a ceasefire meant to allow essential aid deliveries. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli received on Wednesday his Palestinian counterpart Mahmoud Shitaya at the government headquarters in the new administrative capital. The summit talks touched several regional and international fields of common concern. Following their talks, the two premiers held a joint press conference where Dr. Mustafa Madbouli welcomed Shitaya and the high-level accompanying delegation. During the press conference, the Prime Minister asserted Egypt's constant support for the Palestinian people's legal rights according to the international laws. For his part, the Palestinian Prime Minister praised Egypt's efforts to support the Palestinian cause. He also praised the Egyptian-Palestinian strong and historical relations. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry received on Wednesday his Palestinian counterpart Riyad al-Maliki. During the meeting, Shoukry said that Egypt has been following up with grave concern the developments in the occupied territories and the accelerating pace of violence against Palestinian people, in line with consecutive incursions of Palestinian cities and the resumption of illegal Israeli settlement activities in breach of the international law. Shoukry also reviewed Egypt's supportive efforts for the Palestinian cause, as well as the reconciliation file among Palestinian factions. Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry also met with African Union Commissioner for Political Affairs and Peace and Security. The meeting tackled a number of issues at the African arena, including means of searching an immediate settlement to end the Sudanese crisis. The marriage of Crown Prince Hussein, 28, and Saudi architect Rajwa Al-Saif, 29, drew a star-studded guest list, including Britain's Prince William and his wife Kate, as well as the U.S. First Lady Jill Biden, in addition to an array of foreign aristocrats and dignitaries, including senior royals from Europe and Asia, as well as U.S. climate envoy John Kerry. The families and their guests gathered in an open-air gazebo decked with flowers and surrounded by landscaped gardens for a traditional Muslim wedding ceremony. Excitement over Jordan's biggest royal event in decades has been building in the capital of Amman, where congratulatory banners of Hussein and his beaming bride adorned buses and hang over winding hillside streets. Shops had competing displays of royal regalia. The kingdom declared Thursday public holiday so crowds of people could gather after the wedding services. Crown Prince Hussein has graduated from Georgetown University, joined the military, and gained some global recognition, speaking at the UN General Assembly.
Well, welcome back. And just yesterday, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has held a phone call with the Qatari Emir, Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, where they discussed means of boosting bilateral relations and developing them in all fields. They also reviewed the latest regional and international developments, particularly the situation in Sudan. Presidential spokesman, Councillor Ahmed Fahmy, said that the two leaders stressed the importance of extensive work in order to contain the humanitarian situation in Sudan and facilitate the humanitarian aid so as to protect civilians and prevent the escalation of violence. That came in a bilateral initiative between both countries that will be an aid for the Sudanese people through supporting them with humanitarian aid and or until reaching a permanent ceasefire and agreement. Back to our topic of the day, and we'll be speaking about the Iraqi-Egyptian relations in light of President Sisi's receiving to the Iraqi Hikma National Movement leader and the developments that occurred particularly in the very few years. We'll do that, but before we delve into our discussion, let's first have this quick report and we'll come back for more discussion.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received on Sunday the head of Iraq's Hikma National Movement, Ammar al-Hakim. The meeting was attended by Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri, Intelligence Chief Abbas Kamel, and Iraq's Ambassador to Cairo, Ahmed Ad-Dolimi. Presidential spokesman Ahmed Fahmy said that President Sisi highlighted the importance of strong bilateral ties between the two nations, as well as Cairo's keenness on maintaining the security and stability of Iraq. Fahmy added that the head of state expressed backing to efforts by Hikma movement's leader to achieve development in Iraq. For his part, Al-Hakim said that he valued the leadership of President Sisi on the national, regional, and international arenas. He added that Egypt played a pivotal role in the stability of the Islamic Arab nations, noting that Iraq was keen to strengthening ties with Egypt and benefit from the Egyptian development expertise in the various fields.
And welcome back. And to highlight the discussion or the relations, the Egyptian-Iraqi relations, we have with us over the phone His Excellency Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon to you, Your Excellency.
Good afternoon to you.
And let me know your reading to the latest relations between Egypt and Iraq this bilateral relations that has seen a quantum leap, particularly in the last few years, and also this broader one, the trilateral one among Egypt, Iraq and Jordan?
Very important, because Iraq was one of the 7 countries who established the Arab League. Now the Arab League is 22 countries. Iraq is one of the strongest economies of the Arab world. We maintain very good relations with Iraq. We have 2 million Egyptians working in Iraq, helping Iraq for its development. And of course, this is another dimension of the relations. Iraq supported Egypt when we were in need of oil support. And the story is very long. But now we are happy that Iraq is becoming again one united country. Of course, it is threatened from the north. We are helping Iraq for its independence. Iraq, Jordan, and Egypt are members of a new sub-regional group where we are exchanging views, exchanging benefits, even economically, culture, because hundreds of Iraqis are studying in Egypt. Thousands of Egyptian teachers are teaching in Iraq and in Jordan also. I hope that Yemen also, because it was the 4th member of this sub-regional group. So Iraq is very important to us, and we hope that Syria will join us very soon after finishing the internal threats of the Syrian unity. We are helping every Arab country in order to restore its unity, because plenty of Arab countries are not in very good health. That's why the summit, the Arab summit in Jeddah, asked all of us to help Sudan, to help Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Yemen. So the Arab world depends on the Arab countries who are still standing on strong foot in order to help the others. And this is the role of Egypt with Iraq, and Iraq is always welcomed in our country, and whenever they need us, we are there.
But when we speak about the latest developments in bilateral relations, we're speaking on different spheres. As you said, respectively, we are speaking on the political side, on the strategic side, on the economic side. So when we speak about the political side and Egypt's keenness, because Egypt was always keen to support the security and stability of Iraq, plus, of course, it's the sovereignty of its territories.
Yes.
How do you view how Egypt has worked on that on own level?
Egypt has a unique position because we have very good relations with all the Arab countries and with all the parties and all the personnel who are in the leading position of any Arab country. That's why whenever Egypt is there, we hope that any problem can be solved, because we are a good arbitrator, brother to everybody, and we did some very important jobs in every Arab country we tried to help. So Iraq is very important to us. Iraq also is a member of the large Arab Free Trade Area. That means that the trade between Egypt and Iraq and Jordan is going ahead without any trade barriers or any custom duties, and this is helping, of course.
Now, of course, on the economic side, Your Excellency, we're speaking
yes.
about a very important trilateral project that was signed, the power linkage projects among the 3 countries, Iraq, Jordan, definitely Egypt, Iraq, and Jordan, which is taking cooperation into another a different total sphere. But before we go into the economic side, here the political one, because relations between Egypt and Iraq has opened horizon of other relations. I mean here that we've been hearing the return, reports of the return of relations between, for instance, Iran and several Arab countries.
Yes,
and that
we have
Iraq
very
was
positive,
one of the countries that was a mediator in this concern. How do you view the political, bilateral relations between Egypt and Iraq from different spheres?
I see that lately, even during the Jeddah summit and before, we are doing in the middle of a long process in order to make all the Arab problems to be solved between every country and their peoples themselves. And of course, Iraq was divided between different factions and different parties. Now we are happy that Iraq is okay, that we are taking a good position and good step towards Iran and towards Turkey, and both of them were in a position to threat the Arab security. Today we are restoring our relations with Turkey by exchanging ambassadors once again, because we did not cut the relations. With Iran, we were very wise.
Turkey, of course, remains to be seen in this upcoming stage.
Yes.
It's a step for step.
If we make our relation with Iran and with Turkey better, then Iraq will be in a better position. Syria, Yemen, all these countries are involved with some Iranian intervention.
Definitely, and Egypt, Your Excellency, particularly Egypt in this concern, has been always opening its hand for all countries. And we have seen the latest call of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan.
Yes,
for
yes.
Always Egypt is open to.
Yesterday, Sameh Shukri went to see the celebration of Recep Tayyip Erdogan being the new president of Turkey. This is a sort of very important act from Egypt, sending Sameh Shukri to represent our president in the celebration of the new president.
Definitely not the first. We've preceded by the foreign minister himself going into the Turkish territories at the time of the devastating earthquake.
Exactly. So I expect that we shall exchange ambassadors again, and I expect that our relations with Iran will come back to normal. And thank God that our economic relations with both countries is still in a good position, and we hope that this will bring the whole region to much more peaceful situation, and this will help us in Yemen, this will help us in Syria and in Libya also.
When we still in the political cooperation between both sides, let me here broaden a little bit this to the Arab Common Action. The Arab Common Action towards several of the Arab causes that are really real threats to the regional stability. How do you view the importance of the collective and integral Arab action, Arab common work in face of those challenges, and how do you view Egypt's role in trying to always activate the Arab Common Action?
It is very important, as you will know, because every country, such as Egypt, is trying, of course, to help their brothers in order to come to stability. But also we are using the Arab League countries in order to convince our brothers everywhere in the Arab world in order to come to reason, in order to come to democracy and choosing a president, choosing a government by democratic ways. And of course, we are working whether bilaterally, whether collectively under the Arab League umbrella, or directly by our foreign ministry and foreign minister by direct contacts with all the parties anywhere in the Arab world. And of course, we are the Arab League is umbrella, but same time, as you rightly mentioned, that we have sub-regional groups such as Egypt, Iraq, and Jordan, such as Arab Mediterranean countries, which we call them Agadir group, which is combined of the Arab countries on the Mediterranean.
Yes,
many
Egypt, Lebanon,
sub-regional groups, and trying to make the relation much more strength and to establish new ways and new areas where cooperation is expanding and deepening.
If we speak on the strategic side, and definitely Egypt and Iraq enjoy historical relationship in which we have gone through many of the challenges that went through the past decades. How do you view the importance of such partnership between Egypt and Iraq, particularly at this upcoming stage?
Very important, because if we take the size and the population, then you come to Egypt, Iraq, and the Maghreb countries, Sudan. All these countries are heavily populated, so they are the majority of the Arab population. So for strategic and security reasons, it's very important that we make sure that all these countries are stable, that they can help our security, that they can be a partner which we can depend on in our strategic aims. And of course, all of us are members in the developing groups, are members in the United Nations, so the voting power of the Arab countries, especially countries like Egypt and Iraq, is very strong in the United Nations also. So I think politically we are in a very strong position. I enjoy that Egypt has very good relations with every single country in the whole world, and we can use this, of course, to play a positive role to solve any problem, whether around us in the region or take Ukraine. We are trying to help there in order to bring peace to the whole world.
When we speak about relations, then usually economy is a big emphasis and a big reflection to the bilateral or the trilateral relations, and we have seen unprecedented economic cooperation, particularly between Egypt and Iraq from one side, Iraq and Jordan on the other side, trilateral one, Egypt, Iraq and Jordan. This power linkage line that or project, plus of course an important city that is or project that will be held on the Iraqi-Jordanian border in cooperation also with Egypt. How do you view all these projects, trilateral projects among the three countries, and how would that reflect on the relations?
It is different dimensions of the same policy. Of course, we are all brothers. We have the strong point of the relations that we all, Arabs, 450 million inhabitants, talking the same language. This is stronger than the euro, which is one currency for Europe. We have one language, and by the way, some Europeans are telling us we are jealous that you can talk the same language. We use all the dimensions in order to make our relations closer and closer. We are brothers after all. We talk the same language. But it is very good to make this relation much more stronger by also establishing economic benefits. So that's why we have free trade area. That's why we have an agreement to encourage and protect investments in the Arab world. We have
محمد شريف وزير محافظ اسكندرية. الحقيقة النهاردة كنا بنتفقد عدد من المشروعات المهمة.
inspected a set of a very strategic project inside